Well, it was a tough day today. We lost a cow. I don't know if she just got cast in the snow or what the heck happened, but I'm in my old porch in Jenny's house, child minding while she's at the fire hall for conference or whatever it is they call it. But this is all my stuff that's left in Jenny's house. Well, hopefully I'll get it moved out of here one of these days. But anyways, back to the book. Deep in my heart, I believed, this is Mom, that to survive and hopefully someday to thrive again, Maddie needed to be on the farm that he had always loved. I felt that he would be lost if he were uprooted. There had always been a voice in my head that warned, if you do leave the farm, there's a very good chance Maddie will choose to go back and live there. Even though he will have no one to protect his mind from the misogynistic and unnatural control from his father. I knew from my one true attempt at legal separation and settlement from Sandy that he was very capable of discarding his sons to punish me. I had left him for nearly a year after Maddie graduated high school. I stayed with some friends at Sherwood Park. As the time for signing papers neared, Sandy became more and more persistent at trying to coax me home. He phoned with questions about the farm books, which I was still looking after, and maybe promising to change. But I held my ground until one day he blurted, "You get your ass home, or I'll have a new cook in here so fast your head will spin. If you make me do that, those precious boys of yours will get nothing." The light bulb finally flickered on with those words, and I knew then that nothing had ever been about me. I realized with my knowledge that I would no longer be hurt by how I was treated. It was simply the way Sandy was. He just wanted what he wanted, and the players did not matter. I chose to return to the farm and stick it out. In my mind, after Maddie's accident, Maddie's brain was injured. Leaving was not an option. No matter how difficult our lives were, I was determined to hold things together. As time went by, Maddie began to reconnect with the familiar routine of farm work. And with its connection to the land and the people he had grown up around, he steadily improved. I'll flip the page. Maddie does the bulk of the farm work now, and I couldn't be more proud of him. One very typical result of brain damage is decreased motivation. But that is not an issue with Maddie. In fact, it is the opposite. It is often a scramble for Jenny and me to try to sort out all the projects he starts, half finishes, then moves on from. But I will take that over what it could have been. Maddie gets great joy out of his lifestyle and his family, but like countless people these days, he is caught up in the political environment of fear and suspicion. He is fearful for his family, and hoarding is one of the behaviors he has adopted to feel more in control. He is also very vulnerable to manipulation, and much of the media that we have such overwhelming access to these days is rife with sensational and enticing opportunity to become manipulated. After all that has happened in his life, I don't believe anyone could walk away from the trauma Maddie has experienced without some sort of sequela. I don't know if his fear-based actions stem from living his entire life under threat from his father, or that abandonment he experienced when I was injured, or perhaps it's the angst of his brain not responding like he knows it should, or a combination of all them things, or all them. Nearly 10 years after Sandy's death, despite the dreadful consequence and hardship everyone was subject to because of it, I still believe our farm and his family and community are what have allowed Maddie to keep it together. I cannot imagine what his life would have been without the support he has. When Maddie told me that he was writing a memoir, I encouraged him, knowing how it helped me to process everything. Everything when I wrote my memoir. I even offered to edit it for him. But when I got into the project, I realized I couldn't possibly edit it without rewriting it. Then it would not have been his book anymore. I suggested a ghostwriter, but Maddie said he's quite comfortable with it just as it is. He has put a tremendous amount of work into the job. Almost done. If you read it, you may come away with a better understanding of how disjointed and scrambled his thoughts and actions can be. Along with severe temporal lobe and parietal lobe damage, his diagnosis was diffuse axonal shearing, where there are pockets of damage scattered randomly throughout his brain. It is one of the most common types of traumatic brain injury and also one of the most devastating. Much of Maddie's pre-brain injury brilliance is still intact, but the choices he makes often don't take consequence into action.